Door is ajar. Door is ajar. Door is ajar.
Will you stop that?
Please fasten your safety belts.
Why?
Scary Godmother has always been a fun Halloween tradition. It posits an interesting position between a classic Halloween movie and a CGI special that's kinda dated that the internet has turned into a crazy running joke, with psychobabbling of how Jimmy is a Brando who goes on from part 1 of the Scary Godmother to being 30 years old in part 3 to 7 of the anime of the series, which doesn't actually exist, if that wasn't obvious. The wiki pages for the series are so wild and random, ranging from actual characters in the series like Hannah, who now has the last name Urameshi, to Strawberry Elephant. Scary Godmother is based off a children's book created by Jill Thompson, an extremely accomplished comic artist, illustrating for Wonder Woman and Sandman among many other comics. So today I want to go over the production of Scary Godmother, cause there's some really interesting aspects, such as why the movie was changed from a 2D animated movie to CGI, and we look to try to answer the question, why the heck is this series so memed on more than most other specials on TV? First, let's take a look at the Scary Godmother book. Scary Godmother was illustrated and written by Jill Thompson in 1997, winning multiple Eisner Awards for her work. The movie was picked up as a CGI special by Mainframe Studios, who actually used Scary Godmother to test out their new software. At this time, Mainframe was mostly known for doing CGI Barbie movies and Tony Hawk Boom Boom Sabotage.
Even Tony Hawk has trouble landing some stuff.
But interestingly enough, this movie was planned to be 2D initially to match the look of the book's illustrations, but in an interview, Jill Thompson said, "I'm doing 2D. Nobody else should be doing 2D, just me." And I think it's really interesting to create a movie with a unique look from the book that you've already created. Jill was very involved in the writing and the art of this movie, as we see concept art even showing the expressions she's drawn for the kids, which is really cool to see. The look of the movie has been compared to the work of Tim Burton, having the creepy yet cheerful vibes of a film such as Nightmare Before Christmas. The CGI characters really pop on these backgrounds with their watercolor textures, and the background objects do have this toon shading on them, so they're a bit flat with these outlines on them, which really make the characters stand out further and give this movie a really unique art style. I think a lot of people are off-put by the art style of this movie, and honestly, I think the aspect more than anything that would create this is the eyes of the characters. Like, why do they have these beady little eyes? But we could say the animation is a bit uncanny. It does display decent qualities and principles of animation in my opinion. The characters are 3D but are relatively fluid and squash and stretch and move all around. And this definitely came out at a time where CGI and TV was not very common. Sure, you have shows like Jimmy Neutron, but that was ripped right from a movie, so when you look at the budget for that of a TV show, you have to inherently take a bit of that from the movie's budget. The movie's pretty good cinematography-wise too. There's a lot of good framing and camera pans on plenty of the shots. And I think the characters have really good posing, and while the animation might be a bit snappy and a bit jarring at times, I do really like the look of this special, except for the eyes. I think one of the only other aspects of the art style I could really comment on is how smooth the character's skin looks at times, like especially Scary Godmother. She can just look a bit creepy and so smooth, but you could argue it goes to the show's favor. You might notice that Jill Thompson does look a bit like Scary Godmother, and she says she has been called a witch or resembling a witch since she was a kid, which is kind of funny. A lot of people think Hannah is named after Jill's daughter, but Hannah's actually the name of Jill Thompson's niece, so in case you ever go to a Scary Godmother themed trivia party, there you go. So let's talk about what Scary Godmother is actually about. The story revolves around a girl being abandoned by her cousins in a haunted house on Halloween. The kids were trying to scare their cousin Hannah so that she'd run home so that they could hit more houses for more candy while not being dragged down by their little cousin. But in a twist of fate, she's taken to a house of monsters who then have a big Halloween party together. The special doesn't have the most elaborate plot, but what it lacks in story, it makes up for in dancing. The movie just has great vibes. It's like a Halloween dance party with funny jokes throughout. And in the second movie, the plot extends to Jimmy trying to ruin Halloween after the trauma of discovering monsters are real.
eat me, Jimmy. Then on Halloween, I get to eat you.
While the rest of the kids and monsters find ways to turn Jimmy's destruction into positives, like Jimmy destroys all the pumpkins, but the kids say this makes it easier to get the seeds out of their jack-o'-lanterns. The movie ends with Jimmy winning this big scare contest and kind of having a change of heart. There's a sweet scene with all the kids at the end of the movie, and if anything, I'd kind of say this sequel is like The Grinch Stole Christmas, but instead of Christmas, it's Halloween, and instead of the Grinch, it's Jimmy Brando. So yeah, this isn't the most elaborate plot we've seen, but there's just so many funny little aspects that I could really just talk about. Like, we got this kid dressed up as a piece of candy, which is actually based on Jill's childhood, or this boy who's a baseball player in an SUV.
It's loaded with all the options, including anti-lock brakes and an atomic-powered laser cannon. Right on. I'm a piece of candy.
So now that we understand at least the premise of Scary Godmother and what makes it special to people, I'd like to dive into the Neo Scary Godmother wiki. The best way I can give justice to the wiki is to just spend some time reading some of these, because they're just crazy. Hannah Urameshi, formerly known as Hannah Marie, is the baby cousin of Jimmy, one of the most notoriously dangerous witches in Frightside. By the end of the Spooky Tournament Saga arc, she gets married to Jin, adopting his last name for her own. Should I even ask why Hannah's whole wiki is just Yu Yu Hakusho? Like, she has Yusuke's last name. They reference Jin from Yu Yu Hakusho. They reference the Dark Tournament arc. Like, it's so nonsensical, but let's keep reading. For some reason, she was in a 1970s OVA. She was the only featured character, and there's a link to the 1970s OVA, so let's see what the hell that's about. The Scary Godmother 1970s OVA is an animated pilot for Jill Thompson's manga, Scary Godmother, which was made in the 1980s. Blah blah blah. At the end, a copy of Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is thrown into the fourth dimension. Coming out of it, Drippy Jinjo. What is Drippy Jinjo? That was... Drippy Jinjo, or Drip Joe, is a big shot who is the Sussy Baka gang. I like that there's a lore category for everything. Like, why is there a lore category? Also, why is Buggy the Clown in the background of this wiki from the live action? Like, this was updated recently. Also, it's so easy to just go down a rabbit hole with all of this. Like, you scroll down and there's just so many like weird things like, oh, I'll click on Bugaboo, why not? There's not much too crazy about Bugaboo, but I do love that there's a pre-time skip and a post-time skip. But I like that there's comments on this wiki for like every character, and it's so funny to see some of the comments being as recent as September 13th, 2023, going all the way down to May 13th, 2014. I know he's kind of big and scary, but he's such an awesome monster. I wonder if that comment was made before the irony of Scary Godmother wiki. But when we compare this to the comments on a page like Strawberry Elephant, is just the only comment is I like him, I'ma eat him from a couple weeks ago. Strawberry Elephant is a colossal magical elephant known for his juicy taste and his mysterious powers. Let's read his personality. He has a lot of swag and hates the anti-swag corporation. He is rather anti-corporate in general. He prefers the wilderness to city life. Other than that, he is nice, I guess. Okay. Oh, one of his abilities. He can speak perfect English, Hindi, Punjabi, Chinese, Shrumbus, Swahili, and Klingon. Like, again, like, these aren't the funniest jokes, and they, like, don't make much sense, but you can really just spend like an hour or two just going down the rabbit hole of every page. There's a nice purple link to click on and it takes you to some random shit post. So yeah, overall, I just wanted to make a quick video talking about how I love Scary Godmother. I think aesthetically, it's a lot better than people give it credit for, especially for the time it came out. And reading the wiki for this is always an interesting time. Some people might think this looks really dated and uncanny, while others praise this special for its unique art style. Either way, I do think it does have some merit from being CGI in a time where it is pretty rare. But yeah, I'd love to know if you actually like this special unironically, or if you think people are blinded by nostalgia and irony. Cause honestly, I think I'm a bit of all three. Alright, I'll talk to you later. Bye.